chief up on Palomar Mountain, especially during the 2007 wildfires. So I got a fair amount of experience with this, and my specialty is risk reduction. One of the things that I've learned, especially after the '07 fire, I did a lot of investigations for the federal government down in San Diego as to why one house burned and the next house didn't. And we found a number of things, but the majority, or the most important thing we learned, was that 95% of the houses that burned down from sparks and not from the fire front. And so we watch on the news and we see the smoke of that big fire front coming, and it's going to get us. And the truth of the matter is, it's 5% that is eaten by that, and 95% by the rain of sparks coming down in your yard and finding something combustible to start a new fire. And so the risk reduction, aside from this magic snake oil that we have here tonight, is that you have to take a look at your house. You've got to clear 30 foot of defensible space. There's no two ways about it. If you clear 30 foot, I can guarantee that the radiant heat won't last long enough to burn your house down. It's when there's fuel right by your windows and doors, palm trees or evergreens, that can burn with so much heat that they break the window and get in your house. All those tiny vents that are in the soffits or at the foundation, all the cracks where a pipe goes through. You think, well, you know, that's just a small hole. The natural convection in a house, and this anybody in construction will back me up, they put the vents high and low so that the heat it naturally circulates, draws cool air at the bottom, hot air goes out the other side, the top. Well, during a fire, it draws the sparks in the bottom and lets them land in the wall or the attic and sit and smolder. This is why, as a fire chief, we'd evacuate an area, fire would go through, 4 hours later we got 5 houses on fire. Why? The sparks were sitting in the attic. You need to do your part before you even get involved with this. You've got to clear the brush under the deck. You've got to make sure the vents have screening over them, 1/8 inch small. You get at Home Depot. Make sure you buy the metal, staple it right over the edges. You need to clean up all the litter and leaves and stuff from your house. But even doing that, there's a chance that a tumbleweed on fire can come from your neighbor's yard and blow right against your house. And so we call this the safety blanket. It's a gel that is very similar to shaving cream. You'll get to touch it later. It's 100% environmentally safe. It's made from canola oil, the same canola oil you put on your salad, the food grade, and polymers, super absorbents. Cornstarch is a super absorbent. It absorbs 7 times its weight in water. This super absorbent will absorb 70 times its weight. And so the analogy is that when we spray it on the wall of your house, we're spraying millions of tiny sponges, bubblets that are filled with water in many, many layers. And they fill cracks, they fill the screens and vents, they fill around the pipes. You put them in your windows, around the seams, any place that's combustible. If you have wood siding, put it there. If you have stucco, don't waste it. If you've got a non-combustible roof, don't put it up there. But if you have a combustible roof, cover it with gel. We always say start at the top and go back and forth and cover everything. If you have any left, do it horizontally 30 foot around the house. Landscaping won't hurt the trees or the plants. Sometimes a little bit of leaf drop, but the plants don't die. They're actually using them on the vineyards up where they had the great losses now. They're actually putting this on there. So I heard somebody talking about the history of it. The guy that discovered this was a fireman who I knew from back east. He was at a fire and everything was incinerated except the baby diaper. And it made him crazy. So he took it to his buddy who was a chemist and they analyzed it and he said, yeah, it's a super absorbent polymer to keep the baby dry. It absorbs 70 times its weight in liquid. So he's like, well, why can't we reverse that and put liquid in it to resist fire? And they worked on it a couple of years and perfected what we have today. There's other products out there. I'm not going to knock them, but I tell people if you're going to choose to buy and do your consumer research, pick one that's environmentally safe. I know for a fact some of the other ones have some methyl alkyl bad stuff in it, and whether it puts out fire or not, I don't think that's what I want in the environment for my grandkids. And so do your homework. This is around 20 years. I wasn't born believing in Barricade. In 2005, when I was the fire chief on Palomar Mountain, a very similar area, I wanted to buy something that the average person could do something, feel like they did something, and evacuate feeling confident that there's a good chance their house would be there. We researched this, and Cleveland National Forest told me, you're not putting anything in the forest until we approve it. So they tested every brand of gel, and I had never heard of Barricade, and it came back and he says, this is the only one that'll pass the test for the forest. So we bought it, and I will tell you that my supervisors in San Diego fell for my sad story about that we were all going to die, and they threw us a grant to the nonprofit fire department, and we were able to buy a home kit for every resident. So they put the home kits out. So when the Comanche fire came over the top of the mountain, I got my volunteers together. We went out and gelled everybody's house floor. And then the fire kept whipping around the mountain, and went on for 3 days. We went back out and re-misted it all so that it was rehydrated. We didn't lose one house on the mountain. The fire came up over to State Park and down the back, and we didn't lose a single home because they were all gelled. I was sold. I was sold. And so I think it's a great tool in the toolbox. I think that you still have to do your other homework, but if you put this on and evacuate, there's probably a good chance your home will be there. It plugs this because sparks can't get in. Sparks are the enemy. So the kit comes in a kit like this. The home kit is 4 gallons and a garden hose nozzle. It's will do 1,000 square foot per bottle, so 4,000 square foot. Lasts 72 hours, but can be rehydrated. And the cost, don't fall over, delivered to your doorstep is $550, just so you know. Connie is a new distributor, helping her out get started, but she's going to be in your neighborhood helping you. I mentioned before that since the lilac fire in December and the horses getting killed, we've started, not experimenting, but we found that many horse owners use this very product in a shampoo to put on their horses and large animals, soak their cooling blankets and fly masks, so that if they stage in an area like a corral, they can't escape, the embers don't land on them and scar them. And so it's been proven safe by that. We recommend that if you're going to use it on an animal, check with your vet first. Because animals are very sensitive, especially horses. They don't need much to get sick. So let's make sure that your vet okays it. So just say you buy a home kit and your maintenance is every 6 months, a good shaking. It's an emulsion that I assimilate to like paint. Home Depot shakes it for you, you get it, you do your job, you put the top on, you leave it in the garage, and 3 years later you go back and to touch up and it's separated. And then you got to stir and stir and stir. Well, the same thing will happen. The super absorbents will go to the bottom, canola oil to the top, and you've got to just keep shaking. If you don't shake it, once 3 years or 4 years goes by, we can't get it on, back to where it should be. And so maintenance is a very, very important thing. Couple things. It can be put on any way you can imagine. You can put it in a bucket and stir it up and put it on with a paintbrush, paint roller. You could put it on with a fire department sprayer. You could put it in this and hand pump it like that. You can put it in a water fire extinguisher and you can put it on like this. Or the home kit is with the hose. So let's coat 1/2 with the gel. The wood simulates the siding on your house, and so one side we won't coat. And we'll apply some heat to it just to see how well it resists. My wife says I should be in the circus. That's a great question, and I'm going to delve into that. But If you take it off reasonably quick, it rinses right off with water. I had a young lady who left it on for 6 weeks in the sun up Santa Maria. And she called me up, she said, I can't get it off. I went up there, well, the simile, this is the theory. If you have a dirty plate of lasagna and you wash it tonight in the sink, it comes off pretty easy. If you let it sit for 3 weeks in the sink and then go to scrub it off, you're really working at it. This, since it's a food product, it does the same thing. So if it bakes in the sun for a long period of time, you'll work a little harder to get it off. I came up with, through experimenting, I was looking for the right detergent, and I saw this advertisement on TV for Finish to put in your dishwasher, for cleaning the dishwasher out. So in Home Depot, I went and grabbed one, dumped 4 tablets in a bucket with 5 gallons of hot water, and I had a test board that aged in the sun for like 2 months, and I sprayed that on there, scrubbed it a little bit, rinses right off. So that was the key. Now I know what to put on it, and we've helped a lot of people get it off. But the key is to do it pretty quick. This is just going to make a little noise for a second, but we're going to use this to apply that.
In the wrong place.
I'm going to show you the propane tank and how well it protects the tank. And that's a whole different story. We'll get to that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Here's, don't try this at home.
Isn't that the whole purpose?
Yeah.
You know, I did warn him about canyon people.
Wasn't it Eli, who was that guy that was selling not flamethrowers?
Oh, bus.
Musk, yeah.
that's 5,000 BTUs. And I don't know, a better way to show you that it truly resists the heat. So, unscarred with direct heat, we cover with the gel, pretty scarred and flammable if it has no protection on it at all. So that's the contrast, the best way we can show you how well the bubblets work. Again, they'll last 72 hours of protection. They can be rehydrated with a simple mist. You can reach most areas with a garden hose as long as you have about 40 pounds of pressure. If in fact you have low water pressure, then a standard pressure washer, which most people don't know, will draft. It will draft out of a pool or a 55-gallon drum and give you 3,000 pounds of pressure at 2.5 gallons a minute. We make a nozzle for this to do the same thing, but you can reach 30 foot. And so in some cases, this is a better application method. For people who have a tank or a pool and want to rapidly do it, we also make a nozzle for the pool pump to apply the gel also. It's just a matter of, you remember, you want to do this as quick as you can and get out, or stay. But whatever you decide to do, you want to have the horsepower behind you based upon the task. It's how quickly can you apply it properly so you're safe. Since December and this year, it seems that fire behavior is worse than I've ever seen it. And people aren't even getting a chance. They're lucky they can pick up their cat and dog in a suitcase and get out in time, whereas you used to have a couple hours warning. Some areas with hills and valleys and saddles, they're right on the tail of the fire. And so you want to be able to do this as quick as you can and get out. So you can put it on any way you want, from a paintbrush, fire extinguisher, garden hose, pressure washer, fire hose. I'm going to do one more experiment, two more experiments, and then we'll be almost wrapped up and ready for questions. This is a propane tank, and I've coated one side, and I haven't coated the other side. And what happens with a propane tank, it's a liquid gas at the bottom, and the gaseous matter is at the top. When fire impinges a propane tank, the liquid keeps it cool at the bottom, but there's nothing to keep it cool at the top, and the impingement makes this fail, and when it fails, it causes what's a levy, a boiling liquid, a vapor explosion, and that's when it rockets all over. And so this gel will keep the radiant heat from actually making the tank fail. It's one of the things that you really need to cover when you're covering things with gel. So the difference you're going to see is that one side will discolor from heat and the other side won't. You get to play with fire again. see that one side is scorched, the other side's pretty clean. So it's absorbing the heat and reflecting the heat. We're going to do one last thing, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments. We're going to mix up a batch of shampoo, and we're going to try to get something to simulate a horse blanket and see if it'll resist the fire.
I'm not sure what it was. I don't know. That the fire department